Here's the President of the United States.
Good evening. I'd like to provide the American people with an update on our efforts to protect the integrity of our very important 2020 election. If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us. If you count the votes that came in late, we're looking at them very strongly, but a lot of votes came in late. I've already decisively won many critical states, including massive victories in Florida, Iowa, Indiana, Ohio. To name just a few, we won these and many other victories despite historic election interference from big media, big money, and big tech. As everybody saw, we won by historic numbers. And the pollsters got it knowingly wrong. They got it knowingly wrong. We had polls that were so ridiculous, and everybody knew it at the time. There was no blue wave that they predicted. They thought there was going to be a big blue wave. That was false. That was done for suppression reasons. But instead, there was a big red wave. And it's been properly acknowledged, actually, by the media. They were, I think, very impressed. But that was after the fact. That doesn't do us any good. We kept the Senate despite having twice as many seats to defend as Democrats. And in a really much more competitive states, we did a fantastic job with the Senate. I think we're very proud of what's happened there. We had many more seats to defend. They spent almost $200 million on Senate races in South Carolina and Kentucky alone, 2 races, and hundreds of millions of dollars overall against us. At the national level, our opponents' major donors were Wall Street bankers and special interests. Our major donors were police officers, farmers, everyday citizens. Yet for the first time ever, we lost 0 races in the House. I was talking to Kevin McCarthy today. He said he couldn't believe it. 0 races, very unusual thing, 0. And actually won many new seats with, I think, many more on the way. This was also the year of the Republican woman. More Republican women were elected to Congress than ever before. That's a great achievement. I won the largest share of non-white voters of any Republican in 60 years, including historic numbers of Latino, African American, Asian American, and Native American voters, the largest ever in our history. We grew our party by 4 million voters, the greatest turnout in Republican Party history. Democrats are the party of the big donors, the big media, the big tech, it seems, and Republicans have become the party of the American worker, and that's what's happened. And we're also, I believe, the party of inclusion. As everyone now recognizes, media polling was election interference in the truest sense of that word by powerful special interests. These really phony polls, I have to call them phony polls, fake polls, were designed to keep our voters at home, create the illusion of momentum for Mr. Biden, and diminish Republicans' ability to raise funds. They were what's called suppression polls. Everyone knows that now. And it's never been used to the extent that it's been used on this last election. To highlight just a few examples, the day before election, Quinnipiac, which was wrong on every occasion that I know of, had Joe Biden up by 5 points in Florida, and they were off by 8.4 points, and I won Florida easily. So they had me losing Florida by a lot, and I ended up winning Florida by a lot. Other than that, they were very accurate. They had him up 4 points in Ohio, and they were off by 12.2 points. And I also won Ohio, great state of Ohio, very easily. The Washington Post had Biden up 17 points in Wisconsin, and it was basically even. They were off by about 17 points. And they knew that. They're not stupid people. They knew that. Suppression. There are now only a few states yet to be decided in the presidential race. The voting apparatus of those states are run in all cases by Democrats. we were winning in all the key locations by a lot, actually. And then our numbers started miraculously getting whittled away in secret, and they wouldn't allow legally permissible observers. We went to court in a couple of instances, and we were able to get the observers put in. And when the observers got there, they wanted them 60, 70 feet away, 80 feet, 100 feet away, or outside the building to observe people inside the building. And we won a case, a big case, and we have others happening. There are lots of litigation, even beyond our litigation. There's tremendous amount of litigation generally because of how unfair this process was. And I predicted that. I've been talking about mail-in voting for a long time. It's really destroyed our system. It's a corrupt system, and it makes people corrupt even if they aren't by nature. But they become corrupt. It's too easy. They want to find out how many the votes they need, and then they seem to be able to find them. They wait, and then they find them. And you see that on election night. We were ahead in vote in North Carolina by a lot, tremendous number of votes. And we're still ahead by a lot, but not as many, because they're finding ballots all of a sudden. Oh, we have some mail-in ballots. It's amazing how those mail-in ballots are so one-sided, too. I know that it's supposed to be to the advantage of the Democrats, but in all cases, they're so one-sided. We were up by nearly 700,000 votes in Pennsylvania. I won Pennsylvania by a lot, and that gets whittled down to, I think they said now we're up by 90,000 votes, and they'll keep coming and coming and coming. They find them all over. And they don't want us to have any observers, although we won a court case. The judge said you have to have observers. Likewise in Georgia, and they're appealing. Actually, they're appealing. We won a case that we want people to watch, and we want observers, and they're actually appealing, which is sort of interesting. I wonder why they'd appeal, that all we want to do is have people watch as they do the vote tabulations. Likewise in Georgia, I won by a lot.
And there, the President of the United States addressing the American people for the first time, claiming that if you count the legal votes, I easily win. Nancy Cordes is with us. There were a couple of statements that the president made. Do you have a fact check?
Yes, on a number of fronts, Norah. First of all, he said, if you count the legal votes, I win. If you count the illegal votes, Joe Biden wins. Well, first of all, we don't have any indication that there are any substantive number of illegal votes out there. Then he said that he's going to be looking very closely at votes that came in late. Well, votes that were postmarked by Election Day in most states are not late. Mm-hmm. So that was another falsehood. He said that he kept the Senate. We still don't know which party is going to control the Senate. Several key Senate races to be decided. He said our numbers started getting whittled away miraculously after the election. There was no miracle there. Every single election analyst was shouting from the rooftops before the election that that's exactly what was going to happen, that in-person voting was going to be counted first. It would make it look like the president was ahead, but then as you started counting the mail-in ballots, that it could start to shift. So that is not a surprise to anyone. And then finally, he said, Norah, it's amazing how the mail-in ballots are so one-sided for Vice President Biden. Well, again, that's not amazing. President Trump told his voters not to vote by mail. He said that vote by mail was illegitimate, to the great frustration of a number of Republicans who know that that is typically a strength for their party. So it is not a big surprise that Vice President Biden has the edge in vote by mail.
At the same time, he was denigrating what he called a corrupt system that has led to his narrowing of a path to a victory. He did talk about the wins that he has had, noting, of course, that they did well. In Florida, he also said that the Republicans have lost 0 races in the House. Is that true? The House of Representatives?
Republican incumbents have done amazingly well. They haven't lost their races. He was right about that. And he was also right about the fact that this is the year of the GOP woman, because they're adding to their ranks in the House. They started out with about 10. They're probably going to double that.
Right. So we just want to be fair. We will point out on what the president is correct on and what he has spoken incorrectly.
You wouldn't know that this was a historic turnout. I mean, on both sides, the number of people who turned out in this election, you wouldn't have known it from what was it felt like a kind of a deflated recitation from the president, where there's one bar if you're claiming that there is fraud, proof of the fraud, and he had none. I mean, he had some assertions of things, but in terms of the process that is going on, where the votes are being counted, and there is no distinguishing legal votes are being counted. He had nothing really to say about that other than.
And in the case where state legislatures under system of federalism have said that votes can be postmarked on Election Day and counted later, that has been upheld by the United States Supreme Court.
Yeah.
In particular in Pennsylvania.
And he also seemed to suggest that the fact that a lot of major polls were off was somehow intentional and designed to suppress his voters. I think pollsters were just as frustrated as anyone else that their polls did not hit the mark in a lot of cases, and they're going to have to be going back and figuring out what assumptions were right and what assumptions were wrong. But there is no evidence that these were suppression polls, as he put it.
And also his dwindling lead in Pennsylvania is the result of votes that were cast on Election Day or that came in by Election Day. We haven't even gotten to the thing he's been complaining about. So his numbers are, his numbers are going down for the normal reasons they go down when other people vote for your opponent. I mean, it has nothing to do with the postmark. So he can talk about that. Yeah, it has to do just with the vote, which is what everybody got together to do on Tuesday and the days before.
We should note that actually since the president has started speaking, his vote margin in Pennsylvania went down another 1,500. So that's because many of that vote is just getting counted tonight. We're going to have a clearer picture tonight when we rejoin everybody at 10 p.m. Eastern for a special here, and we'll have the latest numbers not only out of Pennsylvania, more numbers coming out of Georgia, as well as we're expecting out of Arizona, as well as this picture is becoming clearer as we allow people to do their job who are counting these ballots.
That's right. And, we are expecting more from southern Arizona, for example, an area that is a little more competitive. So undoubtedly numbers will continue to shrink through the night. And it's, to some extent nervous, otherwise exhilarating to watch.
All right. Thanks to all of you. And our coverage will continue on our 24-hour streaming network, CBSN. You can watch it at cbsnews.com or on our CBS News app. There will be more on your local news on this CBS station. And for some of you, the CBS Evening News is coming up next. This has been a CBS News Special Report. I'm Norah O'Donnell at CBS News Election Headquarters right here in New York.